Well, well, well. Would you look at that? We meet again. I'm actually using the newer version of OBS, the one with like different scenes. So now we have like the starting scene, and I can do this, and then I can go back here. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, how is everybody? Hope you're having a great day. You're 5 seconds late. I was actually on time, but it takes a while until I can press the start stream on YouTube. It takes a while to figure out that OBS is already streaming. So yeah, anyway, some of the examples you've sent me don't actually work. So great job. If we have the time at the end, then we'll try to like run them, because some of them are missing files and others are missing packages, and so I cannot run them. But that's only like 2 of them. I'm gonna wait for a few minutes. Name them. There, you can figure out. You can go to the description that lists all the projects, and you can see which ones are not here. There's a 1/4 chance of mine not working. No, yours is working, unfortunately. So how many people actually send their projects? I think 10. 8. Maybe. There were 10 comments. So something around this. Unfortunately for him, of course. I know, I've seen the one you've sent, but I don't know if like you can just come in here and say that I'm late, and then send me a project 10 minutes before the stream starts. That's you can do that. But we'll see if we have the time and also energy, because I kind of, for some reason, I feel like kind of tired today. But hopefully I'll get energized once we start. I actually couldn't get npm to run, so I never managed to make one. Oh well. That's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, npm do be like that. It's I hate it. I absolutely detest npm and the way it works sometimes, and sometimes doesn't. Yeah, okay, so I think we can start now. We are starting with, I believe, hold on, I need to find the GitHub. So yeah, I believe this is Next Day Games. Essay Videos is the name of the project. I want to start with this one because it's really, really interesting. Unused imports moment. No, yeah, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna review your code style and linting. So this is a video introducing another project, which if you go to the GitHub, you can actually see the link to the actual video and you can watch the entirety. We're gonna focus on this first segment here, which is a snippet from Pokemon, kind of. Because there are a few interesting things happening here. So I installed Prettier in every single project, just to kind of make it more readable. I hope that you can read the font. I can probably increase it a little more. So yeah, let me just commit this. So that we don't, so that we can go back if something goes wrong. So the first thing that I'd like to focus on is this bubble, which contains the name of the player and the level and a health bar. Because this is where it's declared. It's a generator function that actually creates, and we're gonna get back to that because the fact that this is a generator function is really interesting. But this is where this speech bubble is defined. And as you can see, it doesn't use a layout. Things here are placed manually using positions. And I think this can be greatly simplified if we were to actually use a layout. So I'm gonna enable one here on this rectangle. And as you can see now, everything is just placed in one row because that's the default configuration. But now we can get rid of all of the positions because they're not gonna be necessary. And also because this is a layout, we can get the font information and just put it here in the root. And this way we won't need to redeclare the same thing for every text in our scene. So this gets simplified a bit. And now we're gonna wanna change the direction to a column. So now we have the name, we have the level, and we have the health bar. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink throughout this, so apologize for any mouth sounds. So now this should still be in the same line, right? So we're gonna wrap this in another layout, like that, and now it's correctly spaced. We can also get rid of the size because the layout will calculate its size automatically based on the content. I'm here for the mouth sounds. Also, guys, don't discuss tabs versus spaces in the chat. Like, it's like I just said that we're not gonna code review the code style. Anyway, now that this is a layout and the things are spaced automatically, we can do some cool stuff, like for instance, add some padding, right? And this is much easier to control now that everything is placed by the layout. So we're gonna add some padding. We're gonna add some gap, maybe the same as padding, to kind of add some space. Maybe that's too much. I'm not gonna try to replicate exactly what it looked like because I don't remember, but you could definitely get it to look exactly the same. And same for this layout. We're gonna add a gap here, something maybe like 40. And our health bar, previously it was aligned to the right and not to the left. And so we can actually do that with align self. And now it's aligned to the right. And finally, this rectangle is also now controlled by the layout, so we can get rid of the position and the offset and actually just replace the width with 100% here and 100% here. This will make it full size, and now we can just add padding in this one. Maybe 20 is too much. I think it was 10. And now we are back to our health bar, and later on this health bar is animated. I believe this one. And as you can see, the animation still works because it's just tweening, and tweening works between percentages and pixels. One more thing that we can do to make it really fancy is we can make sure that even if the name is short, so if we add some simple name here, like Nick, for instance, you can see that the level is no longer on the right. So we can fix that with justify content space between, and now the level will be always on the right, even if the name is too short. I never quite understand what percentage-based lengths are relative to. They are relative to the parent if you are inside of a layout. If you are not inside of a layout, they are relative to the entire scene. So this box here. What is the meaning of the green rectangle? This is the health bar, right? The direct parent or the layout root? The direct parent. Just like in CSS, because it's actually calculated with CSS. We need documentation for that. We need documentation for a lot of things. I agree on that. Definitely, certainly agree on that one. Yeah, so anyway, we could also get a little bit fancier. No, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. Now, what's fascinating to me, because this is something that I've never thought about. This is a generator function, and the way it's used is right here. So we yield star this generator function, we pass the properties, and this creates our bubble. But the thing about it is that unlike a function component, we don't return the root. We take a parent as an argument and we add it here. And then we simply return the reference. And because this is a generator function, we can use yield statements here. So if we were to, for instance, create like a health box reference and make it so that it points to this rect, we can animate this rect here, like no problem. Let's say that we want the opacity to go to 1/0.3 seconds, and then we'll set the initial opacity to 0. And now what's gonna happen is that this box will appear at the beginning of our animation, and the other one too, which I think is crazy useful when creating new components, because you can have this one function that creates a component, but it also makes it appear on the screen in a certain way. And turns out this is something that I didn't know, that if you yield star a generator, the resulting value of this whole expression will be whatever this function returns, which is awesome. Using all for a single animation. This is actually because I wanted to. Initially, I wanted to make this a bit more complex. So let's say that we take the position here, and instead of just using the Y, we're gonna add like 40, and then we can animate the position Y to get to the point where we want it to be. So now it will not only show, it will also pop on the screen. And since this appears out of nowhere, probably ease out is better. But yeah, and now they kinda appear nicely. Also, when it comes to all, I actually configured, and this is really cool, and I'm gonna need to find out how to share this with other people. But I configured my IDE so that I can do something like this, and it will automatically convert like a single animation to an all if I want to add another generator. Should definitely make like a plugin for different IDEs. Yeah, so this was the one thing that I wanted to show in this particular animation. There's also a problem which I believe the creator actually mentioned on the forum, which is the fact that this layout here, it kind of changes when new text appears on the screen. And this has to do with the fact that Flexbox is kind of based on the contents of the containers. So here, for instance, we are using grow to kind of determine how big these containers should be. And so I guess the best way to fix this would be by specifying not grow, but just width, using like percents, right? So just saying that this should be 70%, I believe, should help with this. Or maybe not. Oh, it depends on how this is actually structured. Maybe let's go to this one. If I set it to a specific width, now it's not gonna change and it's gonna stay the same. And I'm not sure if there's any better way of fixing it so that it doesn't float left and right. All right, anyway, the next animation, or the project, would be golden canvas. I love the code block recently added to motion canvas, but still have to figure out the full power of animations. Code block actually was always in motion canvas. There was a short period of time between the early access and the release when there was no code block, but then we added it back. I still don't quite get what motion canvas is. Me neither, to be honest. So the golden canvas is a project made by, if I can find the repository, Digon.io. I'm gonna butcher all of your nicknames, unfortunately. It's a knockoff of a Remotion, for what I've heard. No, that is not true. It's a knockoff of Manim. Manim is the only software that I'm okay with with being called a ripoff of. Anyway, this is an animation of the golden ratio. This is how it looks like. I'm gonna kind of speed it up because it's a little bit slow. So it animates the rectangle here and illustrates the, ratio between lengths and how that constitutes the golden ratio. It's Manim but worse. Sputnik. Would it be easy to integrate a motion canvas animation into a web page? It's actually a simple simple question to answer, because we do have animations on the documentation website. This is motion canvas running in the browser. This is not pre-rendered. This is actually a canvas element onto which the animation is being rendered. So it's possible, but it's not documented yet. We have an issue for creating a documentation for that, and in that issue there's an explanation on how to do that. So yeah, the golden ratio. And this is a cool example because there's a lot of arrays of references. One of this array is an array of references to lines, and these are these lines, these lines that separate the smaller boxes, like this one. And an easy way to simplify this, instead of creating an array of references, is to just get rid of all of this and simply create an array of components like this. And same goes for the circle. I'm gonna actually close this. Now we're gonna have to fix some functions that actually take this as an argument. So first of all, we're gonna need to pass 8 here and here because it needs to know the length of our array, and currently the array is empty, so it has no length. So I'm just hard coding it for now. I'm gonna refactor some code so that it's easier. Okay. So now instead of taking an array of references to a line, we're just gonna take an array of lines. And instead of using this length here from the array, we're gonna use the number that we passed, like this. Previously here, we would just access the reference stored in the array and pass it to the reference property. But now we can actually store this index. I'm gonna copy it and use make ref, which is a function that can be imported from somewhere, from utils. And it's gonna take our array object and the index as the second argument. And what it will do, it will simply take this array and put this node at this index. This is pretty much it. So instead of having to store the references, we can just store the nodes themselves. Now we need to also fix the lines here. So this is gonna take an array of line, and circles is also an array. Oh, circles are actually lines. I didn't notice that. We're gonna fix this in a second. And here again, instead of passing the reference, we're gonna make reference out of our array like this. And again, instead of using the length of our array, we're gonna use the argument that we passed, the additional argument here. Now we are iterating over our lines. And so we don't need to call this because this is no longer a reference. Ref lines is just an array of lines, so L is gonna be a line, and we don't need to call this. I'm gonna get back to the make reference thing in a second. Here's a problem with accessing the raw value of points. So what you can do, if all you need is just the positions, you can call parsed points, and this is gonna return you a vector2, an array of vector2. Line length also no longer takes a reference, it just takes a line. And here, once again, we're gonna take the parsed points. Line draw time also shouldn't need a reference. It will also only take a line. Okay, and this is that fixed. Yeah, and this is a line. This is not a circle. So now that we did that, like literally virtually nothing changed, right? It's just that we instantiate our array with the nodes inside instead of the references to the nodes. Now further in our animation, here we're gonna have to call, because we changed the signature of this method, so we need to get the reference. Oh, what happened here? Okay, we'll need to call this so that we extract the reference and pass it to line draw time. And now instead of using these individual references, what we can do, we can just access them via the ref lines, which is our array of lines. And this is, why did this, that's weird. Yeah. Same here. This is not that big of a change for now. We're just changing the invocation to, access to an array accessor, or whatever the proper name of this is. And here is where the things get interesting. So instead of, typing this for every individual segment, we can use our array of lines and just map it. And here, for each line in the array, we can create this very animation. Now, if we spread this here, we end up with the exact same animation, just much, much shorter. Spreading an array is essentially, if you were to imagine this being an array, spreading it will result in the exact same thing. So every single element will be listed as an argument to this function. It's exactly the same thing, but written shorter. Here again, we change the invocation to an index access. And we don't need to call this. Excuse me for a second. Oh, so now this is interesting. So it's not a line, it is a circle. It's just that this function accepts line for some reason. This should be a circle. At least that's how it's being used, because we're using end angle, so it has to be a circle. Yeah, so actually all of this loop could probably be turned into a for loop, so a for off. So you could probably just do something like that, and then yield it like this. Oh no, because we're using the index. Never mind. So it's necessary. And here we can do the exact same thing. So again, we're accessing the lines, and we're gonna map them to change the opacity of every line all at once. And we fix the entire animation, and hopefully it's gonna work the exact same way. So our square shows up. Our separation line, this is still not, we still haven't changed anything here. But now, as you can see, it still works. The lines appear as they did previously, every single one of them. And our circles also get drawn on the on top of it. It's kind of exactly the same, but a little less code. Rename variable name refline. Hold on, which one? No, I think it's, oh, okay, I see. This could, generally speaking, be just called lines, right? It doesn't have to be called a reference. But it's names, doesn't really matter. So going back to this, let's actually talk about the references for a second, because I think it's important. So here's how the makeref function works. It literally takes an object and a key, and then it returns a function that takes a value and sets, this key on this object to this new value. And in JavaScript, this key can be a number for arrays, or this can be a string for dictionaries or objects or whatever you really want. Because in Motion Canvas, references are just like stylistic thing. They don't really do anything. They have no actual logical purpose. In fact, I'm going to show you the implementation of a reference. It's actually pretty simple, and it makes it maybe a little bit clearer. So this is the JSX method. This is what the actual tags are turned into. So when you create a tag like this, right? Under the hood, TypeScript will change this into an invocation of our method, where the first parameter is the class, because text is just a class that extends the shape. The second parameter, I believe, is gonna be our properties. So it's just gonna be, whatever we declared here. And then the last parameter is gonna be the array of children. So whatever we put inside of this, right? So there's nothing magical happening here. Writing something like this is literally the same as writing new text and just specifying the properties here, which we can totally do. And so then going back to the implementation of our JSX runtime, so this little method here, it literally does this. If there's been a reference passed to the properties, just invoke it with the node. And whatever this reference does with the node is not, important. We can do whatever we want. So instead of passing, so let's also talk about normal references. If we create a normal reference, it does the exact same thing. It creates a function that takes the value, it stores it in this variable. And so if we call this method with an argument, we're going to assign the reference. If we call this method without an argument, we're going to return the current reference. And that's it. So you can pass it here. But what you can do is you can just pass a function right here. And this is totally valid. And you can do whatever you want with this node. And it's going to be invoked here after the node was created. So this is the basis of all the, make reference, create reference, and stuff like that. Hopefully it makes it a bit clearer. Do squares also have start and end properties? No, they don't at the moment. Only circles have that. No, not even circles, only lines. But you can make a square out of a line and then use that. I'm reading through your comments in my head again, which is literally everything in JS without enough type coercion. Anyone know how to make code blocks animations in After Effects or have some docs I can read? I did that once. It's not... What I did was I would copy the text from WebStorm, and when you do that, it stores the color information, and I would paste it to a Google Docs document. And from there, if I were to copy it and paste it into After Effects, it would actually retain the color information. And then I would like manually select certain things. It's a nightmare. Wouldn't recommend. There's probably like a plugin for After Effects that makes it 10 times easier. So all that refs are is just a container for an object with a getter-setter function when you call it. Yeah, and because it's a getter-setter function, and signals are also a getter-setter function, you can do something silly like this. You can create a signal of a text node, and you can pass this signal as a reference. And what it allows you to do is change it at a later time. You can be like, hey, I want to change this reference to something else, and like pass a new text here or whatever. And it's gonna work. It's gonna update all the dependencies of text because it's the exact same interface as with references. If makeref and createref both just return a function, why do I have to call the result of createref but not makeref? Because with makeref, you have this object, right? You have something like something. I don't know, something like this. And you do something like that. And then you have the handle to this object. So you can access the variable and it's gonna be still the same. If that makes sense. Because I can change the property, the member of an object inside of a function, and it doesn't modify the object. But if I were to, just have like a variable and pass it somewhere, there's no way. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. You could do something like this. Say that this is the reference, and here I'm assigning the node the reference. And then you wouldn't have to call the reference. You could just access it. And this is your node, and you can do whatever you want with it. But because we are passing it here, we don't have the access to the scope. So we need a way to, pass the actual value. I have no idea how to explain that in a way that makes sense. But like, you can try this. I think this is the best thing you can do. You can try implement it without having to invoke the reference and see if you can come up with something. Can I render canvas offline and draw it with motion canvas? What does it mean to draw a canvas offline? Why isn't refs like object with iterators as member functions like React? Because motion canvas has nothing to do with React, and references are meant to mirror the API of a signal, which is why you can pass a signal as a reference. Because you could initially, actually that was the case. You would create a reference like this, and then you would do ref.current, which is, okay. But I don't like this. I prefer calling instead of accessing a property of the class. I think it's a better interface that matches signals better. Okay, so that was the explanation of the references. Now we can move on to the next project. Motion canvas videos, unfortunately, is one of the projects that doesn't work for me, so we may come back to it. Then we have sorting animations. So let me quickly open it up. Can I donate a better color scheme to you? No. This is nostalgia. I'm not gonna change it. I think ever. Oh, and the sorting animations also don't work because there's no array component in the GitHub repository. It's just an empty directory, and I can't import it. So we may go back to that later. It is hard to switch because of the name reference if you know a different reference from React. I mean, it sounds like a you problem. I don't know what to answer to something like that, to be honest. Like, yeah, different frameworks have different APIs. It's like, I'm not gonna, replicate the API of React, mostly because we have nothing to do with React. And already people are making tons of weird assumptions about Motion Canvas because this is how it works in React. Therefore, it needs to be the same way in Motion Canvas, which is not the case. And it's kind of annoying, if I'm being honest. So, I'm sorry that it's hard to switch. Next, we have a class. Codename Lion is a repository by I believe this is Lunaricinia. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. Or not what it is. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, excuse me. But this is a really nice class that I wish I could show you, but it's not being used in this project. But it renders a nice Kirby character on the screen. And you can actually see it. I believe there's a video. And if there's no video, then it's available on the Discord server. It's really interesting that you keep your terminal vertical on the side instead of at the bottom, because usually I work like this, right? So I can have the project and I can have my terminal, and I still get to see my text. I'm not used to this split screen. But actually now we don't need the split screen because I cannot show you this animation. The array component is a sub-git module. So like it's a separate repo on GitHub, or make sure you pull that too. Okay, I'm gonna try in a second. That explains the AD characters hard wrap. Yes, that's exactly. It's just because of me. I prefer not to use React because it's owned by a big tech company that probably sneaks trackers into your website. I don't know. I leave no comment on this. So there's not much we can do. Actually, this class is really good. It extends a node, and it just like creates the Kirby character here. We can't really use a layout because this is kind of a, a drawing in a sense. But first thing that comes to my mind is obviously the use of references, because again, you can use, instead of passing the reference to the container and having this as a reference, what you can do is just make this a node and then use make reference here. So we're gonna pass this as the object and container as the property. I'm not sure why it doesn't let us do that though. That's interesting. What if it's public? Oh yeah, it would have to be public. Okay, that's interesting to know. So I like to do it this way because then it's easier to access this. You can just use it as a property. You can even make it like read-only and not worry about this. And then another thing is this, which is actually something that we provide out of the box. So what this does, it twins the X property from -1700 to -2022 over a span of 0.2 seconds. So I'm pretty sure that most of you know that you can write this as such. First, we're gonna set this to negative to the value that we want to start with, and then we're gonna animate it like this using isout cubic. So this is equivalent to this, and I think it's a bit more shorter and a bit more readable. Yeah, but other than that, it's pretty nice. You have a bunch of generator methods that animate different parts of the body to make it appear on the screen. Can I use GLSL shaders in Motion Canvas for motion blur and duotone color effects? Not yet, but this is planned. So it should be actually really easy to do. Not yet, soon maybe. Okay, well, why am I even talking? Sputnik out there is replacing me. It's technically possible. You just have to write it all yourself. Yeah, like in the deferred lighting video. How do I get reference to the canvas element? You get the context in the render method of your component. So you can do something like that. And here you receive the context and you can render whatever you want on this context. You can, for instance, draw image and pass the GLSL, the WebGL canvas in here, right? And it's gonna blit the contents of this onto the main canvas. This is generally how it's done. There's an example project on the repo of the organization where I use Three.js for animating stuff, and this is exactly how I do that. Okay, moving on to the next project. Oh, it looks like we went through all of them, haven't we? Let's see. Essay videos, golden canvas. Oh no, Lumiere. Okay. How could I have forgotten? Oh me, oh my. Okay. So this we can go back to the split screen actually. The only project where I didn't have to install Prettier. Here's a little test of the array. So this is a package, a standalone package with an array component that lets you display something like this. And it has some interesting methods for like removing elements and adding them to the array. Here you can see the animation of removing it. But it happens really fast. But yeah, you can remove the elements and add them. The typo is still here, yeah. Integer. Also highlight and swap. Okay, okay. This is not a showcase. We're doing a code review. So yeah. This is the array class. And the main problem here is this. So this is a pool that doesn't actually function as a pool. And it has to do with the spawner node. So I actually, let's start from the beginning. Let me just take over this example really quick. I'm gonna add a simple layout node. And create a signal called count. And let's say that it's 5. So now if I were to add some circles to this layout, the amount of which would match the count signal, I could do something like this. I could use the range helper method to generate a range equal to the count, and then just map it to create my circles. Let's make them small and give them some color. And now, as you can see, we generated 5 circles like this. Layout places them along each other. The problem with this is that if I were to now change my count signal to something different, let's say, let's twin it to 10 over a span of 2 seconds, nothing is gonna change because we created these circles once and they stay here forever. So the answer to that is the spawner property that lets you generate children of this node kind of reactively. We can pass it a method, and this method needs to return an array of children. And what's gonna happen here is that this is gonna act like a signal. It's gonna keep track of all other signals used within it, and whenever any of these signals changes, it will update itself. So now you can already see we start with 5 circles, and as we animate, we go all the way to 10. And now, of course, the problem with this is that if I were to set this to 100, you can see that at the end here, my frame rate drops to 16 frames per second. Because every time the signal changes, the spawner gets invoked again, and it recreates every single node. And a really easy fix to that is to just create a pool. A pool that will contain our nodes forever, and then instead of recreating our nodes each time, we can just take a slice of this pool, starting from 0, ending on our count. This is not 80 characters, I just realized. Anyway, now it doesn't work, so that's interesting. Oh, because it shouldn't be 5. Instead of using the signal, we need to assume what is gonna be, the biggest value that our spawner will ever need. So let's say that is gonna be 100, right? Because that's the biggest value we use. And now, as you can see, they get generated, and our frame rate is constant. It's constantly 60 frames per second. No problems here. Could motion canvas be used to create games? This is a really funny question for some inside reasons, but no. I stole the code from Thomser, so it's his fault for bad reference implementation. You can, no, no, it doesn't work like this. You copied the code. Anyway, so hopefully you can now see the problem with this pool, because this pool is not a constant array of nodes. It's a function that recreates the nodes each time. Each time you call this function with max, it's gonna, you know, create the range, map the range, create the array. So what you should do instead is get this range here, remove this whole thing, unnecessary, and maybe add like a property here to control, you know, the maximum value of your pool, and then you can extract this property right here, and we can create the pool. Oh, it should be spread. So right now we create the pool only once. What's the problem with this? Oh, it cannot be optional. Can I do that? No. Okay, so it has to be here. Oh, this, okay, never mind. This shouldn't be optional. So now we create our pool once, and then in our spawner, instead of calling it, we're gonna take our slice from 0 to the length. Let's see if this is gonna work. Probably not, but it never works first time. Yeah, and there's an issue. Okay, and then we have the box array. And the box array is an array of array entry, and the references are assigned here. And this is something that we also shouldn't do, because we shouldn't, generally speaking, we shouldn't touch the pool outside of the spawner. Only the spawner should be able to interact with the pool, otherwise it may break things. So instead, we're gonna implement our box array as a function that returns the children casted to an array entry. And now this could work, but it still doesn't. So also note indexes. So this may be problematic. So this is correct, but then when it's invoked again, it's no longer correct. It's kind of weird. Okay, okay, I see the problem. Because then we are removing the children manually. So that's something that's also not supported with a pool and a spawner, because the spawner assumes that it's the function. Where is it? Where's the constructor? The spawner assumes that this function will always change the contents of the node. So you can, after that, you can no longer modify it however you want. So I'm assuming we could try to maybe store it, maybe do this, that's children, let's save. No, I'm not. I don't think we will be able to fix that on the live stream because I didn't prepare myself actually. Where would you create a pool which exists across scenes? Is that possible? A pool of nodes? No, that's impossible. You can only create a node in the context of a scene because we need to keep track of them, because we need to remove them whenever the scene resets. So it's impossible to make a pool like this. You can share other things between scenes. You can just import something from another module and it's gonna be shared between scenes, but not a node. Pooled for no reason. Yeah, it kinda, I'm pretty sure it could work without pooling. Just create the arrays immediately. I did this and then I was like, okay, what if they want to make a bigger thing though? I think it would be easier to make a function that resizes the array, because then you could also make like an animation to resize this. Like catch a Mr. Artificial Stream. Yeah, it just so happens. Have you found GitHub Copilot useful, or is it mostly more trouble than it's worth for you? This is a question directly to me, then the answer is I haven't tried it. I didn't feel like it, to be honest. I don't know. Achievement unlocked, made Jacob quit your code on stream. I mean, we could try to fix it, right? But I don't think it's entertaining, and I don't think it's this educational. This is generally the reason why I don't want to stream development, because 90% of development is this, just looking at the code and being like, why doesn't it work? I don't see the entertainment value or the educational value in this. But if we remove everything, then it seems to be working. So that's nice. But it doesn't fill our array, so that's interesting. Oh, am I stupid? Is it because I didn't specify the pool max? Okay, that's a progress. Okay, and our pool accesses this, so that's unfortunate, because we can't access this before initializing. So I guess we can do a little trick. And just set it afterwards. Like that. And what is values? They are being set here. Yeah. I have no idea why this doesn't work. Oh, it's because the eye is bigger. Okay, no, it's impossible. You shouldn't use a range here. That's my here's what we're gonna do. Here's the plan. We're just gonna add the generated array here without making it reactive. Like this. Okay. Now it works, and if we do something, it's not gonna work. Now I give up again. It's too difficult to fix. You could make variables to represent the status of the pool to clone its state between scenes. But wouldn't it be the same complexity as just regenerating the pool? I'm pretty sure, because it depends on why you need the pool, right? I love the looking at it and figuring out why it doesn't work, but to be fair, I'm weird. Hey, how are we doing? We're doing fine, I think. Nothing works, so that's always, you know, fun. I fixed it. Thanks for explaining spawners and stuff. I don't think I can add text as children and also add array entries with the way you set up box array. Yeah, then you should just simply use, you know, add and remove on the node itself. That would be much easier. What is in node indexes? Node indexes. What is n? Let's see. It's an array of numbers. Why is there -1? What's up with that? That's definitely a problem. Negative opacity. Yeah, but we loop through them and we use them to access the children. So it's like it's gonna request the -1. You can probably do something like that to remove the error. The question is if it's gonna work. I mean, something happens. Can I modify the duration? I can. Let's make it like 4. Yeah, so it kind of works. It doesn't look as nice as it used to before. But yeah. So this has been Lumiere by Sputnik. I'm assuming that there's something else that we're missing if we miss this one. Motion canvas competitions. Let's see. So yeah, this is a video for an initiative on the Discord server that kind of died out, I think. At least nobody has been talking about this for some time. That introduces competitions. Also, we are at times too. And I really like the green circle effect here. I think it looks real nice. Yeah, so it kind of animates the process of adding an entry for the competition. So I don't think there's much we can talk about here. I didn't have the time actually to look through the animation, to be honest. This is definitely not correct, by the way. It's gonna work because Vite will serve this file because it's gonna resolve the dots into just like slash. But normally when you wanna use a source from some image, you need to import it. Something like this. And why doesn't it work? Oh, never mind. And now you have the source, and this is also a string, but it's gonna contain an URL that Vite can understand better. And then we can just add it here instead of something like that. And it still works. This is the icon. But again, the fact that it worked before was just a coincidence. This is the correct way of doing it. Okay, so this looks okay. Here, since scene opacity is a signal, you can just pass it like this. It means exactly the same. It's just a function invoking the signal is literally the same as the signal itself. The position is 0 by default. Here, this is interesting. This is the text that appears here. And the line breaks are added manually. So you could actually, do that automatically using text wrapping. So instead, I'm gonna put the contents, put the contents inside of the node like this. And I'm gonna enable text wrap. And I'm gonna set the width to it to something like 1000, I guess. And now it's wrapped automatically. You don't need to, adjust that. Unless this is what you're going for. Maybe you know specifically in which places you want the text to wrap. Then I guess you can place it manually. It didn't die out. I just have 100 other things I'm trying to do in parallel. Yeah, it do be like that. It do be like that. Are you maintaining this project alone or do you have some help? No, I'm maintaining it alone right now. And generally speaking, I need some time to trust people. It's been way too short of a period of time for me to be like, oh, hey, you can actually become a maintainer and help me in maintaining the project, because it's a lot of power and, I don't just want to give it to anyone. Motion canvas looks really cool. My problem is I'm a backend dev who's intimidated by the prospect of making things look nice. LMAO. LMAO indeed. You can make them look not nice and, still animate them. Hello. There's an icebreaker variable. I wonder what it is. It's a text, but what's the contents? Oh, introducing, okay. Is this comma in a wrong place? This is actually interesting because you're yielding them without a star, so they will be run on a separate, on a so-called separate thread, which means that you can literally just put them in this all statement, and that's gonna be exactly the same thing. Here, another thing could probably be simplified. Oh no, it couldn't. Never mind, because there's a yield star. This is interesting because there's a yield and then wait for 1. Oh, this is like a really rare occasion, I think. Oh no, all doesn't even work like this. Never mind. Never mind then, because we have, oh no, yes, it is. Never mind. There's any. You can yield any, and oops, and what it's gonna do, it will wait for whatever finishes first. So in this case, it's gonna be the opacity 1. The opacity 1.5 is gonna continue going, I believe. Although I'm not sure actually, because it also may be cancelled. I don't remember the implementation. This is somewhere here. No, it looks correct. Yield star is akin to a blocking call, like wait, PID, and C, yes, whereas yield is non-blocking. Yeah, you can think about this way. If you use the threading analogy, then yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because I can actually show you this, I think. Oh, I closed the other project. Give me a second. So actually, even functions like all, the way they work is that they yield without a star every single generator, which runs them concurrently, and then it just joins all of them. So waits for all of them to finish. And we can actually check how any works to make sure that it's correct. Yeah, so it also yields everything, and it joins with the first parameter being false. And now if it's not all, yeah, it doesn't cancel the threads, so they're gonna continue going, which makes sense now as I think of it. Yeah, so like all is just like an abstraction that makes it easier to understand, I think. This is interesting because you can just set this. You don't need to use 0 as a duration argument. This is the exact same thing as doing that. I want your opinion on the math on line 255. What's wrong with it? I mean, I guess you could do this. There's probably a reason why it is this way. I'm not sure. But yeah, it could definitely be simplified. Yeah, and other than that, looks really nice. Here's this wait for is kind of interesting. I guess, yeah, it's gonna make the all wait for 1 second. But like, you could literally just do this, right? It would be the exact same thing. What I like to do usually at the end of animations, I like to do wait until next, and this way I can just, you know, go here and adjust when I want it to end. Actually, there is an end. Now as I look at this, there is an end animation. Yeah, but there's another end. Okay. What else do we have here? Oh, this one. Actually, we skipped, I don't know how I managed to do that, but we skipped a ton of projects. Now as I think of it. So the, excuse me, the motion canvas competitions was a project by Squiggles Dev, and now we are opening motion canvas projects, which is, I believe it's Tomatech. I don't know how to say that, but we went over the pronunciations already. So we have 2 projects here. First one is a save system from Super Mario Maker, I believe. And there's also not too many things that I can, you know, talk about. Definitely one thing is the use of signals for just constant values. For instance, this panel width. It's only ever used, I think, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's actually computed. But there are specific, some signals are like only used as a value, not in a reactive way. And they could just be a number, right? But I assume that you may want to do this in case you want to animate them later. You have the use of makeref. Actually, what's the difference between these and between this and these lines? I'm assuming it's just as only one line, because it's exactly the same like this, right? For x equals 0, this would be equal, but you're not adding another line. So I guess that's the reason. The first makeref makes the middle line, the iterator makes a LON on the left and the right in the same iteration. Yeah. But I'm assuming you could just do this, right? And then here just not make the negative one for the first iteration, or not. Maybe it's not gonna work. Oh no, because this uses -1 and this doesn't. Okay, so it should be like that. This one should be skipped. Yeah, and now we should end up with the exact same animation. It's a minor nitpick. Also, there's a grid component. That's also, I think, kind of important to mention, that you can actually add a grid like this. And it's just like any other shape, so you need to specify line width and stroke. And then I believe there is spacing. And then width would be panel width. And height would be panel height. Yeah, and now we have a grid, which is way too dense. So I believe it's 64, right? No. Yes, I think. Yeah, it's 64, but it's not actually aligned, which I'm not sure we can fix with a grid. But we could just put it inside of the image and make it a little bit bigger. And then just fix the alignment. Whatever that value is gonna be. Oh yeah. Yeah, and now we end up with the exact same grid, but generated with the component. Thank you so much for reviewing my code. Well, no problem. There is, but I wanted the lines to animate one by one. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Maybe we should add that to the grid component, make it animatable. Oh yeah, they are. They do appear on the screen. Okay, never mind then. Never mind. I believe we could rewrite this to make it simpler, because we do have something like a sequence, which does the exact same thing. So a sequence takes the interval between the threads that are being invoked, and then it just runs them. So then we would just need this, but as an all animation. So we're gonna have to spread our array, map them into our animation. No, we won't be able to do that. We're gonna have to use range because we're animating two at the same time. Wanna see if we can make it more compact, if it even makes sense. Because sometimes a for loop like this is all you need. This is just me being curious. So if we were to take this divided by 2 and then map that into an all. Yeah, and now we're gonna fix this up. So this is gonna be our I. And instead of adding 1, we need to multiply them by 2. It's a different form of loop. You don't need to yell them because all is gonna do it. And now instead of doing this, we can do that. Now it should be working. maybe. Yes. Yeah, it should be working now. But we're missing one line. Oh, that's because it's not actually equal, is it? So how did it work previously? Because there's this one line missing, right? Right here. And it works here. So that's interesting. Oh, it's because we start with I equal to 1. So what animates the middle line? That's interesting. Oh, okay, because it's animated here. All right, that makes sense actually. So I guess we could just make the range start from 1 and go to here. No. Something missing. 2 lines missing now. Oh, okay, because it's if we subtract. No. Okay, because we need to offset this by 1, so I'm assuming if we do something like that, that should help. Or not. How did the previous one work? This is a mystery to me. Oh, okay. This has to work. It's like this. Yeah, okay. And now we have the exact same thing. Is it more compact, this than that? I wouldn't say so. I think it's the exact same amount of lines, actually. Especially if you apply the same thing here with setting the line cap right there. This is gonna be the exact same thing. Like, this is literally shorter than this. Yeah, clean code, everybody. Turns out it's not any better than this. Nice that we know that now. What the hell is a motion canvas? I randomly clicked this for some reason. Nobody knows, really. We're trying to figure this out. How does the image styling work? Are they just individual images? Good question, I don't know. They appear here. I cannot, oh, I can select them. Yeah, just an image. And some math testing if, this is interesting. So what does it do? If y is equal to 2 and x is bigger than 6 and x is less than 17. So I'm assuming it's this. I think this is what makes the gap. You're just running 3 rows and whatever many columns you need, and then you This is math. This is real math right here. I would expect this to be stored in some sort of a data file. But I guess if it works. Yeah, and then we have the bricks on top generated here. Yeah, and then there's a little animation of a JSON file. As a newbie, I'm scared of your code manipulation speed. I'm really slow when it comes to coding and typing in general. People on the Discord server recently were doing like measuring the typing speed. And I had like 55, which is not a lot. Words per minute, I think, is the unit. Hello, motion canvas is amazing. Thank you. No problem. I saw in your video about parallax, you did a skew 3D thing to present the layers. How did you do it? You can, if you go to the video, I think in the pinned comment, there's a link to the source code. So you can actually see the source code of the video. It's using 3JS to render 3D things, because there's a lot of shaders and stuff like that going on in the video. Anyway, yeah, seems like I would change this to infinity. And that's pretty much it. It's my last suggestion to this animation. I didn't know the trick with adding a new line at the start of a code block state to auto set the indentation. I also did not know that because the algorithm was created by Ross, one of my patrons, and I had no idea about this too until he wrote the documentation. I was like, wow, I had no idea. That's great to know. So I'm assuming, can we test that? 4 and 3. That's, I'm assuming, is the code right here, right? Can I, if I change this? Yeah, that's the code. So if I were to do this, or even go as far as doing this, yeah, nothing changes. So it doesn't, it removes the spaces from here based on the first line it encounters, and it also removes this new line at the top. So that's kind of useful. What do we have else in here? I think this is all. Motion canvas videos. They are the ones that I think don't work because of some missing package. And sorting animations don't work because of the missing component. All right then. So hold on a second, because I don't actually have a be right back screen. I'm gonna make it right now. I'm gonna take a quick pause. We'll be right back in like 5 minutes. And we're gonna continue and try to run the other projects. See if we can manage to fix them. So yeah, be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm not gonna switch the screen just yet because I want to try and download the missing repo for the sorting algorithms. It's still going. Yeah, the stream is still going. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hello, hi. I had a project with a sequence diagram in my repo as well. We may go back to it afterwards. I took a mosey over to Artificial One to see if I could find the source code for that parallax video. I couldn't find it. Or maybe it's not. It should be in the description. Hold on, I'm gonna post a link. These are all the videos that are open source right now. Most of the older ones used a really old version of Motion Canvas. That's why they're not there. But I'm assuming they couldn't find the repo. Or did you mean the parallax video? I don't think deferred lighting is gonna be open source. It is open source. Deferred lighting is the first video I open source like this with Motion Canvas. So currently there's the deferred lighting video, and the Motion Canvas is now open source video. Would be cool if the background be right back screen icon was the actual code of the icon. It would be cool, but I also set it up like 2 minutes before going live, so I didn't have the time. But I definitely need to step up my stream. I don't know what's the name of these stream slides game. Anyway, I'm looking for the sorting animation repo. Okay, I see how it is. Okay, just a second. Okay. So do we have Thumbsor in the chat somewhere? And any preferences for which projects to start with? Because there's quite a lot. I'm gonna quickly see if the forum one. No, it doesn't mention. Which one specifically? Motion Canvas OBS plugin when. Yeah, there's no link on the deferred lighting video. I'm gonna add it after the stream. How does one go about displaying text acquired from an API? You can do something like this. You can yield a promise. So for instance, you know, fetch something from an API, whatever, and then you're gonna have it here, right? So then maybe you're gonna wanna also get the JSON data. And then JSON here is gonna be, you know, your response from the API, and you can use it wherever you want. You can like put it here, for instance. This is generally how you would go around this specific problem. The README should have a list of finished animations. Okay. There is no README. Oh, never mind. It didn't want to render. Yeah, so we can take a look at insertion. Insertion versus bubble is gonna be too complex. Maybe let's take a look at the single sort, like merge sort, for instance, which is not here. So let's take a look at selection sort. Oh, but it's the wrong version because it tries to import the text node. Hi, hello. Yeah, but so why is the package JSON listing 3.1 is my question. Merge sort seems to be using the new API, but then merge sort is not in the configuration, is it? Oh, it's just a project. Oh, it still doesn't work. Oh, because the array itself requires an older version. Yeah, because array imports the text node. It has a text tab, but I literally fetched it like a second ago. Oh, because, okay, I see. That's not main. All right. Did it work? Oh, not found. Never mind, I don't know how to use gate. Okay, now it should work. No, it still uses text. I fetched the main branch, and it's still the same thing. And it's currently, I think, the only branch available. Is there any chance you would make source code available for things like typewriter, even if it's just I don't have time to maintain this, but this is roughly how this would be implemented? I'm gonna be sharing the code of typewriter actually, starting with the patrons, kind of soonish, in like a month or two. So it will, like, the end goal is to have it open sourced, but it's gonna take some time. And I don't want to just release it, you know, like that, because I need some perks for my patrons, and, you know, early access to the projects is one of them. Right, so unfortunately, just to kind of show you that I'm not lying or anything, here's the main branch of this component, and it still uses text. So I'm afraid we can't really run this right now. So let's go back for a second. To motion canvas videos, I believe. Yeah, so here the problem is with glob. Import glob.default.sync is not a function. This is being used here. So maybe if we were to just do this. Or maybe this. No, but it still doesn't have sync. I don't understand. Like, the default export is something that contains... Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, okay. Okay, so something is wrong with the implementation. Not implementation, with the configuration. So maybe let's just try to do it the old-fashioned way. Just point it to the project, which I'm assuming would be this. Okay, there's an error, but other than this, seems like the video is playing. Yeah, okay. I believe this video is also on YouTube. You can find the source code in the description of this stream. Let's see what we have here. So this is the first scene, which is the introduction. So I don't think there's anything interesting happening here. Other than the fact that you can, since you're using the same line height everywhere, you can just get rid of it. And you can set the line height for the entire scene to just 100%. And now it's gonna work the same way. Even though for some reason, actually, what if we leave it at the default value? And what is the default value? It's also a good question. Because now the text gets cut in half here, because the height is way too low. See, this won't actually return the value though. I just want to check this quickly. No, yeah, but it's 100%. So maybe if we do like 150. Oh, no. This is an old project. Never mind, because it's a text node. It's text and not txt. So you can't actually do that. Here the line height needs to be set using pixels, which is kind of annoying. In the newer version, you can use percentages to set it to whatever you need it to be. What do you think about hot reload on changes and also a motion canvas parent that holds the project? I don't know, I was thinking about that. I would love to contribute in the project. What do you mean by hot reload on changes? Like, I can change this text and save it and it hot reloads. So like, I'm not sure what do you mean by how, like, I don't know, because it sounds like you're saying that there's no hot reload. Motion canvas parent that holds the project. I'm not sure also what that means. It has hot reload, I think. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I mean to I'm into more than one project. He's starting another project, he needs to serve the app again. You can actually configure more projects than just one. This is what happened here, right? Because if I were to point this to another fraction, now I have the project selection screen. So I don't need to restart anything. I just have two projects running at the same time. And I can open the first one and open the second one. Yeah, so going back to the intro. Oh yeah, so here they use this screen node on top of everything, and they use it to slide it to the left, but you can actually achieve that with transitions. So if I remove this animation, now it just disappears. And now go back to the project and go to the next scene. Here at the very beginning, I can yield slide transition. And this will add a slide transition here. And I can actually configure the direction in which I want it to disappear. So right now it goes to the bottom, but we may want it to go to the left. So it's gonna be direction left. And this is interesting, because actually hot reload doesn't work for some reason. Because right now it refreshed the entire editor, even though it shouldn't. So it works in the first scene, but it doesn't in the second. That's interesting. I'll have to investigate this, what's actually happening. But yeah, now the transition goes to the right, like this. We actually want it to go to the right. And then we won't need this screen node that's also offset. We're not gonna need this and this whole thing. Oh, and now it worked. That's interesting. And now we just have the exact same transition from left to right, but it's written with just one slide transition without any nodes being necessary. I'm gonna reformat this scene to kind of see better. There's some unnecessary comma. It looks okay. I don't think there's anything. Maybe this expression text is kind of interesting, because why is it a code block and not just a text? Maybe something happens here actually. Because if it's just a text that sometimes changes, then you should be able to just use a text. From the look of it, that is what it is. Probably just for the color. But we're talking about this node. This node doesn't have any color. It's just a gray box. I really like the transition with the rectangle. Granted, the codebook has this really nice addition transition, right? Because first of all, it animates the size and it also animates the opacity in, which is something that the default text node definitely misses or is missing right now. Yeah, no, it looks okay. Nothing really to nitpick even. Can take a look at the next scene. Seems like there's generally some things that could be set on the view itself to not repeat the same settings for every single text, which is something you can do, and then just override them whenever necessary. Yeah, again, nothing really comes to my mind right now. With one more entry to check. So I'm gonna quickly download. Okay. A quick npm install. It's just a standalone component. Okay, so I guess we don't need the preview. And I also didn't need to run it, I guess. So this is what we're talking about. So it's a brace node that generates a brace that surrounds objects. There's an example video in the GitHub README in case you want to show what it looks like. There is no example video. What are you talking about? No, the component README. There's no component README. Oh, okay, there is. Yeah, but I don't have the way or the means of running it. Oh, the link, okay. All right, so that's the brace that kind of surrounds the given nodes and gets drawn next to them. So these are just properties and they are mostly correct, although when creating a simple signal, you should specify that this is the type that will be the owner, because after that you can do chaining. Right, so you can, once you have the node, you can do, you know, sharpness, and then after setting this, you can continue going. So we can set another property, for instance, start. And this makes sure that the type system understands this. This is interesting because the progress is a signal, right? So you should technically be able to just do, you know, oh, and this is what I'm talking about. Oh, because it doesn't have that thing. Never mind. But you could just do this, right? Set the progress to 0 and then just animate it to 1 over a span of 1 using the timing function. I don't know if it's more readable, but you could do that. That only works when setting, yes, exclusively. GetPath is a method of the shape class. Oh, this is interesting. So you have like left, left, down, down. So top, bottom, left, right. Okay, I get it. I don't think, I was thinking maybe there's like a way to make it simpler, because direction is actually an enum that allows you to do bitwise operations. So it's structured in a way that, you know, for instance, bottom left and bottom right they all share the 8th bit. Not 8th bit, but the, I mean, which one would that be? 2 to the power of 3, this would be the 3rd bit, right? So you can check if this is an origin for something that's located on the bottom by doing, you know, an AND, bitwise AND operation on them. But I don't think there's a way to use it here. Top, down, bottom, up, left, left, right, right. It's interesting. Why is this flipped? There's probably a reason, but this maybe could be something that you could simplify now as I think of it, because we do have origin to offset, I think is the name of it. And I'm pretty sure the way it's implemented lets you do that. Yeah, because it's gonna check if it's left, and then text gonna be -1, and so on. So this could technically be written like that. I don't know if it's simpler. I don't know if it makes more sense, but it's cool to think about things like that. Freaking positive y-axis is why. That's what I suspected. It do be like that sometimes. Oh wait, hold on a second, because origin offset I think accounts for that. Yeah, because it returns -1 for top and 1 for bottom. So it's gonna, so we don't even need to multiply this. This should work out of the box. Draw overlay. What is this used for? Points. Oh, it's a Bezier. You can actually, this is kind of useless, but there is a move to method, and you can do something like that, which is equivalent to this. It's like saving the whole 8 characters of typing. Oh, we're actually using it here. Never mind. Yeah, okay. So that's the whole component. It's really good. Really good. I don't have anything to nitpick about it. Maybe the maths, but I need to like actually think to understand what's happening here. But I'm assuming this generates control points for the Bezier curve, and then they are being drawn in the get path. So they are not even being drawn, that's just a path being generated. What's wrong with my magic numbers? Oh, so there do be some magic numbers, yeah. This is kind of funny, because flipped, I need to check this. I'm pretty sure flipped just multiplies both components by -1. Yeah, so this could be literally this. It's the same thing. Same here, and so on. All right, but yeah, other than the magic numbers, looks okay. This is something that we need an utility method for, because the amount of times this is actually performed, it's like it's reactive, done something, if not done something else. Usually for like wrapping signals and unwrapping them. Oh, this is interesting. There is a method called clamp remap. So then you don't need this. Some utilities. Carefully determined through random testing. Sneak peek for the splines pull request with the Bezier cubic 2D class and whatnot. Yeah, I can't wait for that one. It's definitely something that we're missing right now in Motion Canvas. It's kind of an important component in vector graphics. Yeah, okay. Other than that, looks awesome. Do we want to see the Bezier cubic 2D? I don't think we want to. This is actually interesting. Shoutouts to Freya's maths library, LMAO. Is it actually... what is this library, actually? I haven't heard about this. Because I know that there's the one for Unity, right? For drawing shapes. But is math... How did you say that? Math F? Is that library like open source? Or are we stealing proprietary code? Because I don't think if it's legal. Yeah is not an answer. I don't know what you're answering to. Oh no, you're answering to the have you guys seen the continuity of splines? Okay. It's open source. Okay. All right. How's the work with the game going? Anything you can say? No. Actually, I released a post to my patrons yesterday about the current state of Astortion. It's currently on hold because of Motion Canvas. Like, I've done literally nothing for the past month other than taking care of Motion Canvas. But now I'm slowly getting back to the what? To game development. So that's the current status or status. I copy-pasted most of the math from there because I don't trust myself with that. But now there's a physics engine in Minecraft. Excuse me, in Motion Canvas. I don't think I can ever read this. What's the name of that? These two letters together as Motion Canvas. You're in the right project for that too. Oh, there is a physics folder. Oh my god. Would you look at this? I don't think you implemented the center of mass though. Looking at your videos that you shared, right? There is no center of mass. They don't rotate when not yet. Okay, I see. I'm literally doing that right now. Really nice readme. Love all the videos. You have insane talent and skill. Keep doing you, man. You inspire me a lot. I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you. All right, we're not gonna look through the physics library though. I don't think we should. This is some interesting code right here. This is actually interesting because I'd love to see an actual implementation of a physics engine like that. Like, you know, because I'm 90% sure it's written using data-oriented approach, right? It's definitely, because, you know, an object-oriented programmer would look at this and be like, okay, so you need polymorphism or something. But there's definitely some really smart way of writing like the same thing, but data-oriented. Anyway, because now I look at the code. I wasn't meant to. Yeah, I think that's everything. Everything we have the time and my energy for. I think we can switch to our fancy all black stream ending screen that I prepared with love and passion 3 minutes before starting the stream. We actually spent 2.5 hours, so I guess it's only reasonable to end it here. Yeah, so thanks again to everybody who, you know, send their projects to review. Thanks for sticking by. Thanks for using Motion Canvas, by the way. This is absolutely amazing and absurd, and it's kind of crazy to see that, you know, something I made is now being used by people to make other things. Yeah, goodbye, everybody. I never know how to end the streams, by the way. I'm saying goodbye to people who say goodbye. I'm not going yet. I'm gonna go in a second. Love it here. Some music to vibe, and it will be Chef's Kiss. Thanks for writing it. No problem. The physics engine framework, also known as Motion Canvas. It's really nice to write it. Goodbye. Bye-bye. I need to definitely prepare some better screens for the next live stream, because the next live stream is gonna be actually on the main channel. So we should present ourselves, you know, like the professional community that we are. Quick, someone make Minecraft in Motion Canvas so we can have MC in MC. First, they need to figure out how to make. I'm thinking about what is the name of the game? Why don't I remember? Oh, it left me. I don't know. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Bye bye. You could use my MC OBS thing I'm making. I'll take a look into that. Sorry, gonna repeat myself. And cooler if the icon was animated, and even more cooler if the code of animation changed real time with icon. Yeah, but I don't think that would be really motion canvas themed, right? But this is, not every single stream is about motion canvas. So we need something more generic. Dang, I missed the stream. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but the VOD should be available on the channel. This is the equivalent of saying goodbye to someone and then realizing you're going in the same direction. No, it's not. It's much more awkward than this. Dang, I missed the stream too. Guys, how dare you? How could you do that to me? I specifically posted it everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. There's gonna be more streams. I should stream more often to kind of, make a habit out of this. Because I think there's no negatives to streaming. And maybe I'll get better at it. So that's, I think it's worth spending some more time streaming regularly. How would I even start motion canvas? It really looked overwhelming for me as a beginner. Yeah, we could probably make some better introductory course for motion canvas. Specifically if you don't know how to use Node.js, right? Or if you're new to programming. If you're new to programming, then it may be really difficult to start. Definitely, I wouldn't rate motion canvas as something that's suitable for newcomers to programming. Definitely not right now, right? Maybe in the future, once we improve the documentation. Doom, yes, that's the name of the game. It's like Wolfenstein. I was thinking about this and I was like, no, that's not that's not the game. Getting familiar with JS TypeScript independently is hard. Pretty good German pronunciation you got there. That's not true. That would be Wolfenstein, wouldn't it? It would be V and not W. I think. I've been learning German for like 12 years of my education. So I know a thing or two. I can say, ich habe keine Hausaufgabe gemacht. This got me through the entirety of high school. Where are you coming from again? I am broadcasting from my room right now. I know a single word in Polish. Take a guess which one it is. I don't even want to guess. I have no idea. I'm desperately clinging to my 4 years of high school German. Yeah, anyway, it was nice talking with you all. I think it's time to end the stream now. So yeah, goodbye everybody. This is my final message. Goodbye.